What's up, y'all? I'm Mike D with Wagon Shack. First off, before we start this video, I am going to apologize, give y'all a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about some sensitive stuff, war, and a couple other things that some of y'all might find offensive or whatever. And honestly, if you do, you just go ahead and change the channel. I don't really care. It's an important part of our history, and the men and women that fought for that, they deserve the respect that's coming to them. So if that offends you, kick rocks till the next video. It is what it is. Secondly, I might say some stuff that offends you, and if I do, revert back to rule one. With that being said, let's get it. Alright, so, my cousins, Danny and Billy, they've been getting a hold of me for a little bit. I got an uncle that's like 7 foot and 9'8", big white praying mantis looking dude named Danny. Cool dude, married in the family, married my Aunt Spicy. God rest her soul, she passed away from cancer a good time ago. Dude is a Vietnam vet, and for all intents and purposes, I never seen him, but I'm pretty sure his balls clank when they walk because they're made out of solid brass. One of those guys. In a time when people were ducking the draft and dipping out, this dude voluntarily signed up to go over there and, you know, cut the wire and sort out business, if you know what I mean. So, they're wanting a wavy flag, but they're not wanting your stereotypical, I made a wavy flag, I painted some stars on it. They're wanting me to do a couple different things, incorporate his regiment, his years of service, name, all that. I'm going to go all out on this. I'm going to do some chisel work, some wavy flag stuff, some 3D embossed insignias, some engraving, all that. Might be a little bit longer video. I'm going to tell a little bit of the story along the way. I'm going to try to do a little bit of photo etching, but should be a pretty good build if you guys want to stick along or stick around for the build of it. Let me know what you think about it. Other than that, let's get to it. It's going to be a long one. Like everybody else, we're going to be using 2x4s for our wavy flag segment of this. This is where everybody goes wrong. They try to use the entire damn 2x4 for every stripe in the flag. Which is cool if you're into that, but it makes a heavy-ass flag because it's 13 sections of 2x4. I don't care how much you grind out of them, it's still heavy as shit. So, we're still going to take the 2x4s, but we're going to cut these into segments over here on the table saw to where they're still manageable. It's not going to be nearly as heavy, and we can still get the details and the waves and everything in them that we want, and the details and the stars of the Union. Alright, next up, we're going to set our fence 1 inch away from our blade. We're going to cut 13 strips out of this 2x4 this way. So, be back in a second. Alright, so 13 stripes, 1 inch wide. Everything's just at 2 foot long. Got a little excess over on the side, that's fine. We're going to use it to short up. We know that our Union, which is the part of this flag that has the 50 stars, you know, the blue part, is roughly, or exactly, not roughly, 7 stripes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ballpark, it's going to be in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start kind of drawing where we want these waves and ripples from the wind hitting our flag to be. And do yourself a favor when you make these. Don't just do a bunch of like slow S's going down the side of your art. It looks ignorant. I mean, there's more to a flag blowing in the wind than that. And then we're just going to kind of shade in the parts that we are going to grind the ever-loving dog shit out of. Alright, typical whack and shack fashion. Do as I say, not as I do. The guard is removed off this. This is one of the Bauer wood shaping blades on a Craftsman angle grinder. Keep my hand back from it pretty good. I've also got the expander on here to extend this out a little bit, keep my knuckles away from it. When you're working with this, you want to work with the upper corner up here. So it's almost like the grinder is pulling away from you. Don't come back here in the kill zone, so it's pulling it back into you. This can be pretty dangerous if you do a bunch of dumb stuff. So, as always, use caution. Same as anything when you're working with tools. Don't bear into it. Just kind of finesse your way into it. You ain't got to do it all in one pass. Alright. Now, might look rough for the cob right now, and I'm sure it does. So, now that we got all these rough carved in here, we're going to come back over this with a flapper wheel. Yeah, that's fog. It's cold. Come back over this with a flapper wheel. We're going to smooth all these out. We're going to round off all these edges, get the rolls, highs, lows, all that. Take the last little bit of this down with the flapper wheel, and we're going to come back and we're going to hand sand all this. Kind of be like a little montage. And probably going to come up here, mark out the union. That'll be it for tonight. Tomorrow morning we're going to come back out here and get to cracking at it again. Now comes the tedious part of hand sanding all this nonsense. Now, there will be people out there that make these flags in various other ways. There's probably about 1,010,000 different videos on YouTube that I've counted so far or seen. And I'm pretty sure that someone's going to comment and tell me I'm doing this the wrong way. And hell, for all intents and purposes, I probably am. These are the way that I do them. Makes the flags a little bit more lightweight. And for the build that I'm doing here, the flag is not really the main focal point for it. I mean, I guess it is the centerpiece, but everything else that I'm doing to go with the flag kind of sets it off. So, you don't want a bunch of crazy ripples in your flag. It makes it, I mean, when a flag blows in the wind, if you look at it, it's got a few ripples, but it doesn't have like lightning bolt ripples or just constant ass waves or anything like that. It's got a few in it, but that's it. They're sporadic for the most part. And that's the way you want to keep it. You should be using a template for any matter for making the waves of your flag. That's kind of chancing your build out, really. I mean, there's 1,010,000 ways to do it. And like I said, my opinion is just my opinion. But we just go with a few basic contours in this. We're going to sand them out with a soft block and some 120. We'll go back over with the orbital here in a minute to kind of put out any rough patches we got. I went ahead and numbered down the side of this right here on the planks. That way if they would happen to get separated, which they are going to get separated, we can put them back in order. But union's going to be right here. We've got this one shallow dip and one shallow dip right here, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal to put our union in here. I've seen a lot of guys that'll just leave a big square open blank like the wind doesn't touch the part of the stars up here. Because, honestly, the union's the biggest pain in the ass on here. So either they go crazy and they put like 5 or 6 waves in up here and then they end up painting their stars on there that looks like ass. Or they leave it completely blank and then they chisel cut them in there and their chisel works on point, but that part of the flag looks untouched, and it makes it all look chintzy as hell, which also looks like ass. So this is kind of a happy compromise for the whole ordeal, and by the time it's done, our flag is the best of both worlds. It's not over the top, crazy, and it's not going to take away from the rest of the build. So we're going to speed through this. Alright, so, knock the dust out my hair. Everything's sanded down, fairly smooth for that matter. I'm going to go ahead and lay out the union on this, mark it, and then separate the top 7 where the union sets. Once I get the line drawn out, we'll go ahead and knock the razor blades into this to separate where the red stain will stop and keep it from bleeding over into the blue stain of the union. But before we do all that, we got to burn this thing. I don't mean like shishuggi on it and torch it till hell won't have it. But you got to kiss it with the fire a little bit, hit it with a little bit of sanding. We just want to see the grain and the differences of the wood just kind of brighten up a little bit. We're not going to be doing any white on this, so we're not really wanting to take it that crazy dark. All right. And if you'll notice in the valleys right here, we're gonna do those really dark because we're only using 1.5 inches of 2x4 in depth, but that's an added shadow, so it'll give a not too deep board an added depth just by an optical illusion. All right, so now that we got the valleys all torched up and darkened, the same opposite end of the spectrum, if we're wanting to build depth, we're going to go across the high points of all of these waves, and we're not going to really sand it to perfectly clean, but we're going to go across and we're going to give it a light section right at the highest point. Of where those valleys are at their highest. Then you can go back through your lows and knock any of the extra burn that you don't desire off there. So it really accents the highs and lows. Alright, so this is our union template, stencil, whatever you want to call it. I finally bit the bullet, and I ordered a set of them off Amazon. You can order like a whole plethora of these things for like $10. It comes with these and the 1776 stencils, which I'm going to be using for another project because for the longest time I was freehanding all this stuff with a router and a chisel and all that. Figured I might as well get with the times. Anyways, your union covers the first 7 stripes from top to bottom of your flag. 50 stars. Order is 656565656. If you want to freehand them, don't be a roundhead like me and try to do five sets of 10. It's not going to fit right, and you're never going to get the lines to add up right. But if you notice, at the beginning of the video, I said we wanted to put some waves in the union, but we didn't want to go crazy with them, and we didn't want to leave it flat. The reason being is, this union, where it flexes, we're still going to have to contour it to the bends in this because we're going to have to chisel all of these stars into this union. And then where it terminates over here, we're going to have to draw a line, and then we're going to etch in a line, and then we're going to terminate that with a razor blade so the red stain won't bleed into where the blue stain starts on this, and you won't have no bleed over. You want real crisp, clean lines. So what I'm going to do is take some blue tape up here in the corner where it's still fairly square. I'm going to tack it down, and we're going to get just on that. And yes, you could take the entire flag apart for this and just do the first 7 stripes. But I really just kind of want to see where it's all going. It's never too late to change anything up. Hell, if you wanted to at this point, you could put a couple more waves in here. That's all up to you. It's your flag. What was it Bob Ross used to say, or whatever the hell his name was? Yeah, Bob Ross, happy accidents or whatever. The guy had a happy accident or some shit. So we know that's where it's going to terminate. Okay. I'll be back here in a second. All right. So when your union terminates, depending on how you cut your waves, it may not be 100% square. And if you look at a flag that's blowing in the wind, take a picture of it. There's a good chance that depending on how that flag is contorted or bent because of the wind, that union might be at an angle because the flag's being pulled in 2 different directions, possibly 3 different directions. So if your union is a couple degrees in or out on this end right here, do not freak out. As long as it's square on this side, you're golden. Pro tip, or whatever you want to call it. Now, we've got everything numbered on this end. We're going to pop this bad boy apart. Before we do that, we're going to come back around to this side, and we are going to color code them. Red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white, red. All right. And them pieces are free. Now, where we mark the termination of our union, right there on our lines, gonna come through. I'm gonna use a chisel for mine. The way I know I get a good crisp line. These little things right here from Harbor Freight, I love them. Give it a good whack. That way, you got a good place for the stain to stop. I'm going to go ahead and pop some blue on these white strips because I have no chill. Alright, the staining's done. Actually really impressed with this one. I tried a couple new things on it, and turned out really, really cool. I'll flip the camera around here in a second. I'm going to let the stain dry and everything like that and finish curing. I got a heater that I'm going to bring out here and sit on this stuff. But whenever I pick up the video tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and start with the carving of the Union and all that cool stuff. Tracing that out and carving those. And building the box this goes in. And I'm going to go ahead and figure out tonight the 11th Armored Cavalry patch. How I'm going to do that. A couple Purple Heart patches. Vietnam Veterans ribbons. I'm going to incorporate that in there. And did this all along with a photo of him and some chiseling, name, rank, all that cool stuff. Years he was over there cracking heads. And get that all fitted into one cool package for Uncle Danny. But give you a little preview of what we got going on here. Let me flip the camera. Not too bad if I don't say so myself. And if you look at it, you don't have to go crazy deep to get those waves. Yeah, look at that. So I'm going to pack it up, call it a night, go in the house, smash off some chicken nuggets. See y'all tomorrow.